from Wells Middle School, Lydia Song. Lydia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Okay, let's move on to Lydia. Lydia, in one word, describe what best describes your experience thus far.
It's been a little bit unsettling because life is just not normal. I want to see my kids every day and I can't. And I want to be able to talk to them. I want to encourage them. They're 8th graders. So it's like, come on, we've got to do this. Let's go, let's go. So that's been kind of unsettling. But learning to figure out ways to talk to them. And, you know, texting is their language. So sometimes it's texting at 12 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever works for them, and finding ways to encourage them. And I think that part I really actually appreciate because the things that I can say in text stays. So if they want to go back to it and they feel down or something and I've said something, they can read it again. So that part makes me feel like, okay, that's okay. Then I'm going to say more. I'll say more and I'll say more and I'll say more. And hopefully the message will get through that we can all do this and that they have to believe in themselves.
Well, what a great message that is. I know that when my own children were high school age and beyond, texting was the only way we communicate. Even when we were upstairs and downstairs, it would be a text to come down for dinner. So good to hear that you're taking advantage of that, because you're right, the text stays and it resonates, and you would hope that it would resonate with the children. Well, let's see what we have here. Stephen Light, are you here?
Yes.
Well, Stephen, hello. This is Dr. Muserino. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Is that a cat behind you? Oh, we're going to get our cat video. Anytime you could add a cat to a podcast, you're in good show. Thank you for that. Stephen, welcome, and hold on a second here. Let's see. Lisette, are you here? Avila? Hello, Lisette. You may be muted.
Hello.
There you are. Hi, Lisette.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Muserino. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
And we have a special surprise here for our teacher. I think they just figured it out. Let's see. How about Juana? Juana Esteban Diego. Juana, are you here? I think she's still connecting. Oh, there you are. Hi, Juana. I'm Dr. Muserino. Nice to see you. God, look at these beautiful smiles. You know, every time we have kids and we have students every week in the podcast, it makes you miss things even more. And let's see, we also we're waiting for Brian Molina. Brian, are you here?
Yes.
Brian, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great, thank you. Let's see you. Can we see your video too? Is that okay?
Yes.
Well, we'll wait for Brian to come on so we could all see him as well. Well, students, thank you for joining us today. And teachers, we conspired to do this. We wanted to have your students here today to talk about you, because it's students that we're all about in Alvord, and that's why we all signed up for what we do. So we thought there'd be no better way to celebrate your honor than to have your students here. There's Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
There we go. Let me close this out. All right, Brian, welcome. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to go to to our principals. And we're going to talk a little bit about our Teachers of the Year. And we have 4 of them here in the podcast today, our 3 finalists for the County Teacher of the Year and the 2020 Best Award winner, Teacher of the Year. So we're going to talk a little bit about them from the administrative perspective. As a principal myself for 17 years, My life was all about teachers and students. It still is as a superintendent of schools. But as a principal, you obviously rely so much on your teachers to extend what it is that you're trying to create and what you're trying to achieve as a school. So let's go on to Wells Middle School. Mrs. Roboto.
All right. Well, it is my joy to have Lydia and Lisette here. They're quite a team together. But one of the things that makes Mrs. Song such a great math teacher is she's not a math teacher. And I don't know how to explain what she does, but when you go in her classroom, you have to be really good at listening, because what Mrs. Song does is she asks questions because she wants to know what her students are thinking. And I think the moment that moved me about Miss Song is when I heard her hear a student say that they're not good at math. And that's taboo. You don't say that in Mrs. Song's class. And what she said is that, no, you are good at math. You just haven't found the right teacher to help you understand how your brain does math. And so that's what Mrs. Song does, is she honors student voice. She wants to hear all the different ways that students do math, just like she shared that she wants to hear the ways that students want to communicate. If they want to text, then she'll text. If they want to do math a certain way and it ends up with the right answer, then that's what she's going to honor. I also like that she encourages students to challenge other people's thinking in respectful ways. I was in her class hanging out one day, and we ended up talking about dress code and kind of the social justice or social injustices of dress codes as they relate to specific genders. And so Mrs. Song just cares so deeply about developing her kiddos as people. And somehow they end up learning a whole lot of math too. But she's a magician in her class, and if I could clone her, I would. And she just cares so deeply for every single one of her students. I'm sure she wishes she could have more Lisettes in her class, just like I wish I could have more Lisettes on campus and more Mrs. Songs as teachers.
Well, beautifully said, Karen. Thank you for that. And Lisette, what about you? What's your experience been like with Mrs. Song?
Well, it all starts off with entering the classroom with a smile on her face and a pat on the back. Questions are answered as fast as possible as she can, on remind, no matter what time of day. She always helps in other classes. It doesn't necessarily have to be math. She's always there for us. Her positivity and encouragement brightens every student's day, even not on a bad day. Her patience throughout the year made math haters love math and math lovers love it even more. A quote that I found that stood out to me was, "A teacher is a compass that activates the magnets of curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom in students," by Edward Garrison. This is true because I see it when Mrs. Song teaches. After a lesson, questions are asked by many students about what could happen if this part of a math problem was different, or what if this never happened to this event. Because of these questions, the curiosity knowledge keeps extending. That's what makes Mrs. Song's class go by fast. I also see her as a school mom because she acts like one. She always makes students feel special when they're around her, and I think she would be the most perfect teacher that best fits the recognition for Teacher of the Year.
Well, thank you, Lisette. Beautifully said. My gosh, that was absolutely wonderful. And Miss Song, we're going to go to you now for just some concluding remarks about what you've just heard.
It's hard. I didn't expect to see my students. Thank you, Lisette, and thank you, Karen. Just that's really one of the hardest things with this being on quarantine. Every time I see my kids, I cry. So it just I had to. Anyways, but I really do thank you. It's been so Lisette, especially your questions, They always push me, always make me think, and it always is something I'm sure is on someone else's mind too. And I always say, please ask more questions, because that's what makes me a better teacher. I can't do this without you guys. And I learn from you as much as you say you learn from me. It's our journey together. So thank you so much. And the biggest regret of this year is I didn't get to have you in class on a day-to-day basis the whole year. So I don't know what to do about
Thank you,
that one.
Well, thank you, Lydia.